right? It wants to perform well so that it can hold its position in the
And
stock
also-
market and so forth. So who are the shareholders? Well, those are the people who hold mutual funds mostly. Who are those people? That would be us. So the problem
It's
is us.
You
And
said
so
it.
that's a very complicated thing to solve.
Yeah.
When we here take exception to this and we point to the problem, but really the problem is us.
Yeah, because that's why I said education.
Well,
See, it was-
because they allowed a corporation is a separate entity. You and me and Fritz were responsible as individuals. Corporation is not responsible to anything except its shareholders.
Well, that's why they create a corporation, to get away from liability.
Right. So Goldman Sachs goes out of business. General Motors goes bankrupt. Who has to pay for it? We
Yeah.
have to pay for it.
Well, the principles of a
I'm saying-
corporation, they can simply go bankrupt and then reemerge with a new corporation that's doing the same thing.
Well, look what they did at Central Hudson. Central Hudson was sold to a Canadian company. So the Canadian company doesn't have to honor the pensions over at Central Hudson anymore. Well, I mean, we're talking politics.
Well,
Let's
see,
get
we
back
are.
to
No,
food.
but,
And,
to-
No, but it's related. It's related. There's a parallel there.
You get back to the food to see is the key word for a young person today who in this business is two things. First of all, look at what's he called, the education. And today we have 880 schools, culinary schools in this country. Some are good, some are not good. You need to evaluate and study that. Okay, what's good for you? The point of money and education, faculty, everything else. Or you can go in an apprenticeship program, which is done by the ACF, which you have a qualified restaurant, which is under supervision for you to 3 years to learn like I learned. Okay, I'm just saying it. The only difference here is that now the first year you get minimum wage, the second year you get above minimum wage, and the third year you get a full cook's wage.
Right.
And
But,
that's the
but you're
diff-
getting a wage.
That's the
And
difference.
they may even give you room and board.
No, they give you a full cook's wage, the whole thing. The reason is why, because after 3 years in the same place, you're a full-fledged cook because you know everything they do. Okay, what's it called? And that's the difference, because when I was in an apprenticeship, we did not, because for every certified master chef, they were allowed to have 3 apprentices. So what's it called? The restaurants and hotels were interested to have certified master chefs, and they paid for that because they could get 3 apprentices, which of course you had, say, 10 master chefs, 30 apprentices. Okay, and they were different things. The first year they cost you money because they made mistakes. The second year they were more, and the third year they were full-fledged cooks. So there was so they made money actually. We changed that in the United States and said now we have first year you make mistakes, it costs the business money. Secondly, you're better, so you make more money, and the last year you really can take a station over and cook like anybody else. And so that's one part.
So you have culinary schools, you have apprenticeship, you also
And-
have corporate restaurant groups that train people.
Yeah, and the other thing is also that today you have a much more wider choice in order to get employment in the culinary arts than we had. What's it called today? You can go and research, have a life, make good money. The whole thing. The only thing you have to be
Food science.
So you have to be research is food science. You have to have a good mathematical skills. You can go into food writing, editing. You can what's it called? You have to have good English grammatics to do that. You can go on television, not the front show, but every television has a full brigade behind the scenes
Sure.
with the executive chef or sous chef and blah blah blah. You can go into online cooking, which is banks or like large company like Sodexo or either banks especially. They have fantastic restaurants because that's how they make
Sure.
the money, and they're selling the sellings off. So you have choices, or you can go in the restaurants, and work a little hard out, so to speak. So you have more choices than we had. See, in order to have a family life. Like I didn't get married until I was 53 years old. I was married to my professional. You know, I had girlfriends, yes, and all things you see, but I didn't have a family because, and that's down for a lot of young people today. They want to have a family life. They can have it in this business. So again, you see, now here comes another thing. When I was talking about convenient foods. America has very heavily convenience. Okay, tomato ketchup is a convenience. It's good because nobody makes tomato ketchup anymore. A1 is a convenience. What's it called? But now they have all these convenience like demi-glace, sauces, bases, all that thing. And again, you see, I believe that today we have to teach not only from scratch, but also have to teach with the convenience.
Right. Well, it also dumbs down the skills of the people.
Convenience, the salt goes up, which is not good for you.
Well, as soon as you can buy instant stock, you no longer need to make a stock. You no longer need to fabricate meat to get bones to make stock. So now you're buying a different product.
The problem here is first of all, refrigeration. We don't have big refrigerators anymore. So where are you going to put the stock if you make the stock from scratch? Okay. Number two, the bones cost nearly as much as the meat. So their stock suddenly becomes so expensive that what's it called? It's unaffordable because your profit margin starts becoming smaller.
Plus
and smaller.
the labor, the time, and the fuel, the energy.
And that's the changes. Now I have to say one thing: the difference between Europe and America is that Europe creates convenient foods in such a form that the chef has to. The chef takes it, he can change it to his own liking. So he can buy it, it becomes his, like a cheesecake. We just created a cheesecake for Europe. The company, what's it called, my partner in, and it's an American.
What's that company called?
Master Chefs Institute. It's 4 master chefs. We do what's it called, research and food and machinery.
And who are your partners?
Ferdinand Metz, Ed Leonard, Kevin Walker, and Reinhold Metz.
Oh, very good
Yes,
names.
Yeah, well, and so what we did, we created with the
good people.
with the European company a powdered New York cheesecake. But in order to do that, you see, yes, you have powder, you save some time by putting together, okay? But then you see, you have to make a dough, which has to go on the bottom of the cheese, not just a crust. And then you have to bake it. The same thing. I remember I did the master chefs. My colleague here, he gave me hell because my pie was sinking down. The whole thing. See, he said, you can see the pastry chef, the pastry says, because the pie when you cook it a certain way to cook it, then it stays level. Okay, it's the same thing here. So he has to bake it the right way. So now suddenly it becomes his or her cake. While over here, everything is so that you take it as it is and just throw it in, and there it has no flavor. Like if I use a powdered demi-glace, okay, I do the same thing. I do it the real way. I sweat my vegetables. Instead of stock, I just use water, and then I mix the powder with that, okay, and then I simmer it the same thing, you see, and then I use the juices of my meat or what things and add it to it, and my sauce suddenly becomes mine, okay, and I add different herbs and spices to that.
Your signature.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. That's I think what the problem is that we need to teach our young upcoming culinarians both sides.
About ma cuisine.
Yeah,
their interpretation. They need not just cook, by the master said this.
Yeah.
This kills me when people always quote Escoffier and say that, no, you can't do that because Escoffier said it had to be done a certain way. And I have to think, well, did all progress end with Escoffier, all evolution? Well, that was the end of it right there.
No, but that's a lazy shortcoming. But we have this always, because we're lazy and say, okay, Escoffier, okay. Escoffier was a tool, and what he did really is he took the basic fundamentals, which are the same as we do today, but he took it from his masters and moved it into the modern age of his time. And see,
he wrote the book, he wrote the Bible, he put it together.
But see, the thing is this. Yes, he did. He did, okay. Classical cuisine. What is classical cuisine?
First one to share anything.
The first one to put it together so you could refer to it and use it to train
But
people.
the classical cuisine is something which is what the masters have taught us. What we do today, you and I and Noel, what we teach today, what we cook today, tomorrow becomes classical. Today we need another escoffier who puts it together in a setting with the basic fundamentals, but in today's setting. Different spices, different ingredients, different, what's it called, understandings, different food, what's it called, faster, or slower. When he, in his time, we say, my God, see, people had time to eat. You know, and they sat for 2-3 hours in the restaurant. Today, 50 minutes, the whole thing. So the thing is why I say when you say escoffier, is escoffier put it in a book for his time. If you read Escoffier, you get the basic fundamentals. And he said it himself, my recipes will die, my fundamentals will stay. And that's a quote from Escoffier himself. But we would still have this tendency, what's he called, the laziness, refer to Escoffier, okay? It's the same thing in baking. It's a certain old timers that became referred to him. Well, they baked 100 years ago. Today, what Noble wrote a book on baking. Well, it reflects the basic fundamentals of baking, but in today's setting. So I think that's the key word also, that we need to say to people, yes, it's easy to say Escoffier. I mean, I even have a problem at the certified masters that they have to have a classical thing. On the other hand, see, we should have it also because we need to understand the base, where we came from, okay? But within reasons, okay? Escoffier says you have to lard the beef. You lard the beef till they kill it because it's so tender today.
Yeah, the beef is different. They didn't
exactly.
have the grain feedlot to
So
fatten.
you follow exactly, but when he wrote it, it was in the 1800s to the 30s. You know, and after the 30s, was he called, now we needed new people, but we didn't have. You know, there was Walter Spiel, he wrote a thing for Europe, my kitchen, my cuisine. He moved it into the European modern type of thing, but he died because in Europe they don't say Escoffier, they say Walter Spiel. Or they can see, over here, unfortunately, we have never really recognized ourselves. Now, we like to look at the other side of the screen. Ourselves, we're not so good. Like, take knives, for example. I use American knives. You know, but everybody says, oh, American knives are good. I want to have a European one. They're the same knife as ours. But we have this type of a psychological problem that we look at the other side and think it's better. We need to realize that we have the talent, we have the people and the chefs to write what's called a culinary American Bible.
It's time.
You know, I was just saying, we haven't. We haven't in many ways already.
And I think the Culinary Bible has been written and rewritten a number of times in this country by one of my favorite books is The Joy of Cooking.
You said it. The joy of cooking, you see, you can't beat that. So saying, it's the base.
Fritz,
But to finish up, but to say is you're right, because but maybe the reason Joy of cooking because she was not a professional chef. So what does she know? You know, but when you look at all the other books, they refer always to the Joy of Cooking.
right. It's always been probably
Okay.
my first choice. I see you have the taste and tales of a chef, the stories and recipes of Frederick Sonnenschmidt, and there you are looking very much like Sherlock Holmes.
So,
Could you explain that quickly?
very fast. I believe that if he in a stressful profession, you always need to have an opposite which has nothing to do with the profession. Otherwise you burn out. Sherlock Holmes is my other side. I studied Sherlock Holmes now at the Conan Doyle wrote 58 stories. 40 were novels, the rest are short stories. And we research now, and I put Sherlock Holmes into the food business. I wrote a book, Dining with Sherlock Holmes, which is for Sherlockans, based in the Victorian time, moved into today's setting. So I believe what's it called to play, and even here, I play the Sherlock Holmes, so to speak, is to be inventive, what's it called, always on the point, what's it called, study, stay at the cutting edge, read papers, information, talk to other people and listen. And I like to finish with a thing by saying, cooking and baking is an art. The art we argue. Cooking and baking is a science, which we can argue because science is the base of everything. It's what heat does to food, what food does to heat, metal, everything else.
Predictable.
Exactly, but the last thing is the most important. Cooking and baking is also a way of sharing. And it's the sharing which is so important in our profession, to share with each other what's called the basics of our culinary arts, share with each other what's called our business understandings, and just share. And by doing so, you become successful by itself because you're not afraid of the other guy, because the other guy is like you.
Right. You don't want to crush the opposition. You want to embrace the opposition.
And use respect.
Yes.
Because
that's the collegial thing.
Young culinarians are very often as good as old culinarians. The reason why, they have ideas and think out of the box.
Old culinarians were young culinarians.
Yeah, you think out of the box, but when you get older, you don't think out of the box anymore because you think you lose out.
Yeah.
So what happens? The young person have the idea out of the box. You have the way how to make it work. It makes us a team. And
Right.
team is our profession.
Well, I thank you for sharing, both of you. Thank you so much for sharing. It's been such a wonderful thing to have you here and talk about these reflections and predictions and circumstances that led to where we are. And you've certainly been...
I'd like to thank you for the opportunity.
Well, I thank you for lunch.
I hope to do, perhaps we can sit again another time.
We always enjoy spending time
Well,
together.
Yeah, well,
I
you're
tell you here, this is my best
two
story.
good friends.
That which shows our profession is Tony Cedar and myself. Tony Cedar
Tony Sita.
is, and that's here.
The taller the hat,
Yeah.
the shorter the chef.
Yeah. This one here. Here.
The 1st of April, or the American truffle.
Okay, what happened was here, just to say nothing. Remember we had this advisory board at the Institute?
Yeah.
They had these two French chefs there which were best.
Take a look at this.
They were what's it called? Really, they're tearing every American chef down, 100 calorie pieces. Tony said, I kept taking them, we're gonna have to fix them. So I learned in my apprenticeship to make fake truffles by using used coffee grounds, kitchen bouquet, and gelatin.
For a visual.
And it becomes a visual, like it's hard.
This is for like food shows or something?
Yeah, it looks like a real truffle.
Presentation.
So what we did, we took that truffle, we made it, and we buried it over where now the continuous education building is. There was oak trees and hazelnut bushes, and that's what the truffle.
Perfect place for it.
And so I said, by the way, said to Tony when they were there, I think we short of our truffles, we're going to go and pick up some truffles tomorrow. And the guy said, truffles? Yeah, I said, we have truffles right here at the Institute. When we get home, we're going to pick them and see when they come with us. Okay, 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, 6 o'clock today, what's he called? I had a fork on my shoulder. Tony had his little schnauzer with him, and we had students with us in that little basket of holding. We moved over there, what's it called? The sun, the birds, the sun's coming up, the birds are singing. And the dog goes, woof, woof. Truffles. Out comes beautiful, they're now full of dirt, they look like the real stuff. Truffles like this, like
perfect. A
we
fortune.
put them right away in a little basket we had, put them down. Then I said, oh, see the blue flies there? Ooh. More come out. And obviously we had enough, the whole thing you see is, you can see us taking here the truffles. We had enough, so we went in there, and the students right away start to, brush it. So the guy says, they smell like coffee. So Tony says, yeah. I said, the French truffle have that musty flavor. The Italians have the garlic aroma. American truffles, coffee, naturally. So the whole thing. So then we took the truffles and we sliced them and put them in Madeira wine. Now, whatever you put in Madeira wine, it doesn't matter if it's sawdust, it tastes the same thing. And so they tasted like I said, a little rough, I said to see, but not bad. And then we told them off, let's say, April Fool, and they never came back.
No.
But
The last trick.
The key of this is you can really make what's it called, fun with food, but he
Hmm.
also can make a very sarcastic point.
Yeah.